All right, today is February 19th, one day before the big fire of the passenger house. And so we're here kind of remembering it, kind of a remembrance of the passenger house. And it burned on February 20th, 1885 at 2 a.m. in the morning. So we came out here February 19th here to just kind of get the feel of what that day could have been like. It was very cold. There was snow on the ground. It was so cold it was about 16 below zero. And there was a little snowstorm the week before, just like we just had. We had snow on the ground. And
12 degrees outside.
And it's 12 degrees, so we're freezing. We're inside the CB&Q weight car, very close to where the passenger house was, and we're going to show you in a little bit. But so, what do you think about the old passenger house?
Well, the amount of research you've put into it, it's obviously it was an important building, and like every town, that when a railroad comes in, the first thing that goes up is a railroad station, and then that's how it draws people to the area. So with the passenger house being built 1853, 54, when the Illinois Central first came through, and then when the CB&Q came through, they didn't need to build a depot, so they just shared, and that was basically how all the people that eventually established what would become Mendota started. So with the depot, and then they built the main street, the freight house, all the downtown area, and then it just branched out to however it went.
You're absolutely right. Yeah. Any words to add there, Tanner?
Not really. I just say that it was probably the first building in Mendota, first permanent structure in Mendota built. So there was nothing else around other than that.
First brick structure too.
You're right. Yeah, because when Samuel Hastings, who was one of the first settlers here, he came up from LaSalle on a work train and headed up here, and he said that there was no Chicago going to Quincy, which was what he meant was Chicago and Aurora.
Yeah.
But he mentions that later in the article. But the Illinois Central was here first. The Illinois Central built the passenger house, which was a 3-story building, and very ornate, and it was the nucleus of the town. And we did some excavating. We were putting in some signs during the warmer months, and we found some stuff. What kind of stuff did we find?
Well, technically the first thing that you found was when the museum was first being established.
What happened was they were building the platform, and they were putting in the lamppost lights.
Oh, that's right.
And they had to have a big ditch for that. And so they were digging down real deep, and then I seen this brick that wasn't, like the bricks of the Union Depot, which were very red, all red, no coating, no nothing. And I always looked at the black and white pictures of the passenger house, and it was a lighter color. So I'm thinking, they're black and white, but this is still telling me it's not a dark red color. So when I seen that brick, I'm like, okay, this could very well be a brick from the passenger house. So I was always interested in finding and raising the old passenger house. It's underneath our ground, underneath our feet here, literally. Once it burned, they left it there for like 2 years before they finally cleaned it up, and they just leveled it off, put dirt on top of it, and there it is. It's underneath. So when we dig some holes, we find stuff.
20 years later, we came along, and about the first things that you had found, there was a little brick bit you had found, and a glass bit. It was actually this one. It looks like a little fish. That was the first indication that you said there was stuff down there. And then when we came along to dig we dug down 3 feet, and right at the 3 feet level, that was when I could feel around, and literally on my stomach just
Yeah.
And the little corner in the fence, it was a treasure trove. And we were just pulling up brick bits, glass, pieces of coal, everything.
We separated, also there was a trench that was dug for the rail cam that we have now on the gate tower. So they had to dig a trench all the way to, from the lamppost light to the gate tower. And this trench just exposed a lot of stuff. I mean, we have glass, chinaware,
bits of concrete.
Bits of concrete. We actually have evidence of the original fire. We have a brick, you know, that shows the burned marks on it.
All the glazing.
Yeah, and from the windows, possibly, Alan thinks, and very well could be, yeah.
And it's impressive that this brick, compared to all the other ones that we found that was like broken up, this one is, it's got a chunk missing here, but it's got the burn part on here, and then on this side it's got like the original like cement filling.
Yeah, the mortar.
Yeah.
Right.
And then it's just, it's still pretty much intact.
Yeah, I mean the trencher dug up and ground up a lot of things, unfortunately. So we're hoping to do a good excavation here, an archaeological dig here properly here when the weather warms up, and we'll make a special video about that. But this is a whole big bag of burnt wood. I mean, you put this in your hands and you can actually see evidence of the passenger house fire in 1885, which started from a kerosene lamp exploding in the baggage room, which was right next to the building, and then it caught the baggage room on fire, the telegraph office on fire, and it started to catch the Railway Express Agency on fire, the express building, and fortunately they put that out. You know, they were able to get that out. But once again, it was minus 16 degrees, so could you imagine trying to fight that fire?
And then the other thing for that was the stories was the fire equipment was the Mendota Fire Department wasn't very well organized at the time, and they had a bunch of like hand pumps and steam pumps, and in order to do that they had to have a steam engine running. Unfortunately, the engineer for the steam engine was at home in bed asleep at the time of the fire, and by the time he came they were able to get a steam engine with enough steam pressure raised up, the whole building was gone.
Yeah.
And the fire, the photograph that we have in the museum, all that's really left standing is the one tall chimney.
Yes.
And that was all, literally that was all that was left. Everything was completely destroyed. So all the furniture, all the clothing, passenger baggage, all the equipment, everything was completely burned. And
anything to add to that, Tanner?
No, not at all.
Okay, all right. Well, we're going to go outside and we're going to kind of show you, we're going to brave the elements. I mean, it is really cold out, and it's not even as cold as it was back then. So I can't even imagine them coming out at night, trying to, you know, get a handle on the fire, scrambling, just freezing, water freezing on them, you know, while they're trying to put out the fire. Complete misery. And February has been a rough month for everybody. I mean, for Old Switch Tower, February 29th, 1980.
Yeah.
Last day of the Milwaukee Road, February 29th,
yeah.
1980.
Well, winter,
you know.
In all fairness, winter's not been kind here too. It's
winter has not been kind.
The last run of the Illinois Central was December 21st, 1985.
There you go. I mean, winter is brutal on the human and also on the railroad.
Yeah.
But,
and the downtown.
And the downtown, yeah.
December 29th of
there you
2022, go. They had the big fire on Illinois Avenue.
Okay, a lot of famous people have been at the passenger house. And one of them is Abraham Lincoln, another Stephen Douglas, Frederick Douglass,
Ulysses S. Grant.
Ulysses Grant, and Theodore Tilton, very famous poet, the one guy that wrote "This Too Shall Pass," you know.
And Chief Chavanaugh.
Chief Chavanaugh, thank you. Yeah, and
Wild Bill Hickok.
Wild Bill Hickok, yes, absolutely, he was here. So tell us a little bit about the times that Lincoln was here, Tanner.
Lincoln stopped here 3 times, in 56, 58, and 59. 56 he stopped here, but we don't exactly know how long or why or where he was going. Most likely probably north up to Freeport. So he stopped here in 58 during his Senate run. There was a couple gentlemen came at 2 in the morning to yank him out of bed, as you had in your previous video.
Yes, and that was
discuss.
In this book in detail. You can read about Lincoln in Mendota staying at the passenger house.
So they went up. They went there and they got him out of bed, essentially, to discuss strategy for the next debate.
And that was the Lincoln-Douglas debates.
For the Freeport debate.
Yeah. Yeah, he was going to be in Freeport 2 p.m. for the start time. Yeah, he left on the train here with his advisors. The 2 gentlemen you're talking about is Norman B. Judd and Ebenezer Peck. They were 2 of his advisors.
And they had come from Amboy.
And, well, they came from Freeport.
Or Freeport.
Yeah, I mean, originally the story is that Lincoln said, hey, meet me in Freeport. Whatever you do, meet me in Freeport, because I got to bounce these Douglas questions off you, because, you know, this is bothering me. So that morning he came from Macomb, got the famous picture taken of him at that studio, and
that's what he looked like.
On the queue, got off on this side, and then came into the passenger house, most likely, you know, and then during the night, well, I'm sure he had to say, hey, the committee has stopped me here in Mendota. We can't go any further because they want to have a special procession, so we're just kind of stalled here. You're going to have to come down to Mendota. So they had to telegraph them in Freeport and say, hey, come on down. So they got on the night train. I mean, I'm still trying to find out the proper timetable because it usually takes about 2 hours. But according to a timetable, it looks like it was around 10 o'clock, but the train must have been late, okay?
Yeah.
I'm trying to piece that together. I noticed there's something going on there. And anyway, the train was late. They ended up getting here at 2 a.m., woke Lincoln up, says, hey, okay, we're ready. And Lincoln was just sitting on the edge of the bed, very eager to do this because time was running out. You know, I mean, the debate was the next day.
Yep.
So, yeah. I mean, so Lincoln being here is huge. It's just huge. And the people of the town, and a lot of people wondered, well, was Lincoln ever here? Well, yeah, he's been here quite a few times. He stopped here. But he actually stayed the night, according to his advisors, Norman B. Judd and Ebenezer Peck. And this material, the interviews were done in 1876 by John Nicolay, his secretary, chief secretary, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the last time Lincoln was in Mendota was 1859, but that was just the inspection tour for the Illinois Central, because you said he had to do audits for all Illinois Central property from Centralia all the way up to Freeport.
Yeah, the whole line.
But unfortunately, he never came as president, and you know, I'm sure he probably would have if he had lived past April 1865. But there's no way of knowing. But from the research that other people have done, it sounds like that after his presidency, he said he wanted to go to like West California, and he wanted to go. I think he wanted to go to the Middle East, I think.
He wanted to go to Jerusalem.
That's it.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
He wanted to go there.
Interesting.
And there was, I think he said he wanted to go back to practicing as a lawyer, so there's a good chance that he, probably for the rest of his extended life, he could have been a lawyer for the Illinois Central if they wanted him back.
Right. Interesting.
But we'll never know, because history changed on April 14th, 1865, which coincidentally, with this being the 140th anniversary of the Depot Fire, it's also the 160th anniversary in 2 months of Abraham Lincoln's assassination.
Okay.
So
very interesting, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's amazing that, you know, as you touch this brick here, you're touching a brick from the passenger house in a building that Lincoln was in.
Yep.
You know, and Ulysses Grant.
Yeah.
And Wild Bill Hickok. I mean, so to find these artifacts underground
Yeah.
is something we're really interested in, and we're hoping to find more.
Yep.
But we can. Do you want to add anything else to that, guys, or
Nope.
no?
Other than the piece that we didn't talk about was this little. We think it's either a.
Oh yeah.
It's a. I'm gonna guess it could be possibly either like a jug,
Yeah.
like one of those whiskey jugs, or it's some type of ceramic thing, but we're not 100%.
I'm guessing it's like a kettle, like to stir soup in. I mean, it looks like there's a handle piece. You know, there must have been some sort of a handle in here that went up and over, right? And then this circle indicates that it was big. You know, so this thing was this big.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
And so this, you know, who knows?
We just
there
found,
was a lot of meals served in the passenger house, so you know,
well,
it was very popular.
Yeah. Well, it was one of the meal stop stations.
It was. It was a huge eating house on the Illinois Central. They only had so many, and this was a main one because of the junction.
Yeah.
You know, the crossing of the trails.
Yep.
Yeah. But all right. Well, we're freezing, and we're gonna go freeze some more outside. Okay, so here we have the northeast corner of the passenger house, and it's by our steam engine here, so if you're in line with the whistle there, then you'll be on the northeast corner. Okay, we are standing at the northwest corner of the passenger house. And there's our steam engine in the background, and Tanner and Trenton. And we're going to go a little further to the southwest corner.
Wow.
All right, we're walking along the old Illinois Central main line here. And there's Main Street. And then in the distance we have the old Illinois Central Illinois Central Freight House. And that was also built in 1854. Okay, we have now found the southwest corner of the passenger house, so I'm going to back up and get these guys in view. So this is where it was, all in this area here, okay? And then we're going to find the east side here, the southeast side, it'll be over there. So do you guys, are you guys freezing?
Yeah, our faces.
Yeah, okay, so how do you think it felt for them to be out here? You know, could you imagine? Yeah, and we got a train coming.
I can't imagine what it would be like fighting a fire in the cold. I've seen pictures of building fires where back, like in the, not the early 20th century, I've seen pictures where they're fighting fires in downtown buildings with icicles hanging down the front of them.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. All right, we're going to find one more corner here. All right, okay, here is the southeast corner of the passenger house. So we're in line with, there's where the 4978's at, so there we are. We have found the passenger house, and we're going to do an excavation site probably right over here. Right in this area here, I'm thinking. I think this area right here would be good, because if the foundation of the passenger house is about here, it'd be nice to run into it, and then everything will be buried in here, you know.